You are feeling tired, exhausted, wore completely down. You feel like you just can't get up and go another minute into that classroom and deal with those children. You are not alone. You are suffering from teacher burnout, and it is very common for teachers, especially as the year progresses. I always laugh at that joke when I see it of the teacher that's coming in August and she looks happy and perky and her hair is nice and her clothes are fitting. And then you'll see a picture of her towards the end of school and her hair is sticking completely up on top of her head. She's biting her nails, her clothes are half on, and she's just like, thank God it's the end of the school year. That is a feeling that we all can relate to as educators. Well, I'm assuming most of us can. If you couldn't, you wouldn't be watching this video. But it's called teacher burnout. And unfortunately for us, it is quite common. The reality is we're tired. We're burned out. But we have to stop giving it our all. You know, the old football saying goes, leave it all on the field. Well, I think as teachers, we try to leave it all on the field. And instead of taking care of ourselves, we're worried about taking care of everyone except ourselves. And our bodies, our physical health pays a price as a result of that. So we're going to look at what exactly physical burnout is, what teacher burnout is. We're going to look at the symptoms of it, the causes of it, and what we can do to transform our lives from that of being wore down to one of being happy, smiling teachers who remember their why, who feel good about going to work every day. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to get right into this video. And in case you don't know where you are, this is LaWanda Shields, and we're here at 2Q Classrooms in my car. And today we're going to be talking about how we can help prevent teacher burnout. When you are burnt out as a teacher, you're not only physically exhausted, but you are mentally and emotionally under prolonged stress, and you are overworked. Let's be real, ladies and gentlemen. Teaching requires a lot. I had one of my church members tell me, oh, you're not tired. You have that easy job. You know, you just sit out all day and you play with those children. And I like to feel out. I said, what? Is that what you think we do all day? That is definitely not what teachers do all day. We don't just sit down and play with children. I think for years people have had the idea in their heads that our job only requires us to show up, to keep children babysat or entertained for 8 hours a day, and then we go home. We all know that is not the case. We have to deal with not just children. We have to deal with their emotional problems. We have to deal with their behavioral problems. We have to deal with their parents. We have to deal with our school district, our school board. We have to do with state mandates and federal mandates on our time. Sadly, so often as teachers, we are lugging tons of paperwork home to grade at night or other hours in which we should be spending with our families. We're looking at doing paperwork over the weekends. We're looking at doing paperwork on our holiday. Well, I'm confessing I did it for years. I lugged all those papers home. I hauled them in my car. I spread them all out on my floor, in my living room, anywhere that I could spread out a paper, I had it spread out. And there I was, working away, just working away, trying to get those papers done so I could be an effective teacher, because I feel like that's what I had to do. That is not the way it goes. And if I knew then what I know now, I would have never done it, and I advise you not to do it. There are some things that you can do instead, and we're going to talk about that today. What we can do to help us as educators feel better and be better. Also, what are some symptoms of teacher burnout? Let's talk about what are the signs that you exhibit as an educator that signal that you are absolutely wore out. One symptom is fatigue. You're tired. It's not the regular tired like I work today and I come home, I've been doing physical work, but you are tired, you are fatigued. It's a prolonged feeling of exhaustion. You lack motivation. You just don't want to get up and go to work anymore. A job that you love, that you went to school and college for years, that you planned for, that you were excited about. And I know I was excited. You don't want to go anymore. You're just like, I don't want to go to this job. I would rather do anything to get up and go to this job. And you also experience some irritation. You know, sometimes little kids do stuff. And I say little kids, I teach middle and high school, But sometimes those children do things and it just sets you off. I mean, the littlest thing, even your own children, when you come home, because you have given so much. I don't know if I finished the football players. I always used to tell coaches, I always used to tell their players, leave it all on the field. Give 100%. And I think as teachers, we have gotten into the mentality that we're supposed to leave it all on the field. We're supposed to give it all. I was doing that for years, giving it all. I would get up and I had my sister lay my side. I would work before I went to work. I would get to work and work. I would leave work and go back to working. I'd get home on the weekend. I was working, grading those papers, doing those lesson plans, doing all I could, being Wonder Woman. And it was wearing me down. I was absolutely exhausted. And I tell you what, for 20 years, my hair would grow, get a certain length, and it would start falling out because I was just that tired, irritable, and exhausted. Another symptom of teacher burnout, your performance is reduced. You cannot perform your job the way you used to or to the ability that you know you can. You're not completely you. And the reason is because you're tired. You just wore out mentally. You have given so much of yourself and you spread yourself to the limit. And what I don't think a lot of people understand about teacher burnout is that we get burnt out at work, but that doesn't just affect work, but it also affects us at home because we're not just teachers. We're also people. I leave work and then I have a family that's at home. I have people that need to eat. I have a house that needs to be clean. And sadly, for many of us, our homes and that house cleaning gets neglected. Our children get neglected. And I remember one day I was riding in my car and I just cried. I feel so bad. I feel so guilty because my oldest son, I told him, I said, baby, mama did not spend as much time with you. She should have, because I was so busy being a wonderful teacher, being and doing all of the things that really, really good teachers do, to the point that I didn't spend as much time with him. There were some things or places I need to have been with him, and I didn't go because I was worried about getting work done. And I just cried. And I called him. I said, baby, mama is so sorry. I said, I am so sorry. I want you to understand my son is 30 years old. I called him, and I was just apologizing. And he said, mama, I didn't know. He said, we were okay. He said, I was happy. And I said, well, good, you were happy.
Before we go any further with this video, if you have not already, please give this video a like, a thumbs up, and that you subscribe so I continue to give you more teaching tips and hacks. And I will see you back in the video.
Spending those long hours preparing for work, working longer hours, we have on our paper that we work 8 hours, but we work way beyond those 8 hours. Many times we're working before we go to work, like I said I was doing, and we are spending time at work, and then we're staying late to fix the classrooms, to grade the papers, to get things ready for our students so they can have a great time when they come back to school the next day. I had a little girl tell me years ago, she said, oh, I thought y'all lived here. I think she's about the 3rd grade. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, I thought y'all lived here, because she said, when I come to school, you're here. She said, I leave school, you're here. Then I come back, you're here. You're always here. She said, I drive by sometimes and you're here. And I said, you know what? She have a point. We do live at school. We live at school. Even when we're not at school, we're still at school. Because if you're like me, school is at your house. There are papers on your floor. There are things that are lying around that have to do with school. There are school books. And if I look at my car, if you look at my car right now, I promise you there's a lot of school stuff that is in here. You may can't see it, but I promise you it's in here. And so those prolonged hours, that prolonged amount of time that we're spending getting ready and doing the things to get prepared for school, help contribute to our burnout. We also place these unrealistic expectations on ourselves. We expect ourselves to be Wonder Woman, Wonder Man, be able to do it, just be Teacher of the Year, flow gracefully into our classroom, have these wonderful students flow gracefully back. And reality is it's not working. That does not work. When we finally come to the realization that it's not working, we can begin to move past it. The next thing next cause is a lack of support. Teachers are not supported in the way in which they should be, whether it's lack of support from administration, whether it's lack of support from the community, lack of support from the parents. We don't receive the amount of support that we need in order for us to be as effective as we should as educators. So we don't have support. Sometimes even our family members don't support the career in which we've chosen. They don't support the decisions in which we've made. They don't support us having to go work that ball game, even though we're off work and they tell us we have to show up. They're not supportive. As educators, we need that support. We need that extra reinforcement to help us get further along. Another thing that contributes to teacher burnout is the many challenges we face from our districts, from our state, from federal government that want us to have all these wonderful test scores. They want these kids to do so well, and yet it's still, sometimes they don't even give us the supplies in which to do them with. They want us to walk on water, literally, and then you don't want to pay us. It can be frustrating. It can be frustrating as an educator with that lack of financial support that we need in order to purchase things that we feel are necessary for our classroom. And then we look at our friends who don't teach, who do other jobs, and they're able to go on those wonderful vacations and have all that time out. And all most educators have to look forward to is talking about some retirement and a check that you're going to get, some type of pension. But we should be able to enjoy our lives before then. It is all of these things that help to contribute to teacher burnout. There's also student behavior. There are many challenges that we face every day inside of a classroom that help to contribute to us being just straight burnt out. With all that being said, let's talk about the things we can do in which can help us move past teacher burnout and become our best self. First thing, we have to have systems in place. You have to have a support system. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you work. We must have a system of support. If you're going to be an educator, if you're a young person just starting out, or if you're a veteran teacher, you got to have a support system. There has to be someone there who can help you on those days when you have to come home later, or you have to stay over because his parents showed up and it's the end of the day and you're trying to get in your car. The administrator calls you and tells you, oh, it's just going to be a minute. And they take, I don't know how long. Had that happen to me. My youngest son was in daycare. Daycare closed at 5 o'clock. I needed to leave work immediately and go get him. But I had some consultant decided they needed to talk to me before I left work. Held me over God knows how long. And I'm trying so hard to get my baby. But the administrator thought it was so important that I sit there and listen to this feedback. It was stuff that could have been put in a letter, could have been put in an email, could have been told to me at another time during the day. But they felt it was so important. And so on days like that, you have to be able to pick up the phone and call someone and say, hey, can you please pick my son up? Hey, can you please help? Can you please start the dinner? Can you please start the washing? Can you please do this? Or just somebody that you can call and unload. Just talk about what's going on, why it's going on, and what they can help you do. Because if we don't have that support, you just go into pieces because we will burn out. So we need a support system. Make sure you have a support system in place to help you. And speaking of support system, another thing that you need to have in place are systems. Have a set way of doing things. Have a set system of getting your paperwork done. Have a set system of starting your class, beginning your day, how you're going to end your day, how you're going to help get those students to be more responsible for the classroom and for their own personal space and their work, so there's not so much on you. And I wish I'd known these things earlier, because I would have not had to work so hard. Instead of us working so hard, our students can work hard and learn how to become productive citizens. My third thing I'm going to say is it is vital that you batch those lesson plans. Lesson plans used to get me so nervous. I would spend literally my whole weekend worried about doing lesson plans. I had one boss that had lesson plans due on a Wednesday. I had one, they just varied. I had one due on Monday morning. I had some due on Friday evening. Regardless, because I've been teaching quite a while, over the years, lesson plans have caused me much stress and anxiety. Best thing to do is batch your lesson plan. Why should you batch your lesson plans? Because it increases your focus and your productivity. It also frees up your time. My advice is to dedicate 1 or 2 days to lesson planning. After that, call it off. Get those lesson plans done, turn in, and let it be over. If you know you're going to be doing apples in September, if that's your theme for September, or it's rules and expectations and back to school, then that's what you do. Or if it's get to know me for that 2 weeks, or get to know my expectations for 2 weeks, that's what you go ahead and get those lesson plans done according to what you're going to do. How can you batch them effectively? Choose a planning day. Choose what day you're going to do your lesson plans on. I had to take 2 days because I had to think about what I was going to do, and it had to be written out a certain way. So choose a day. I'm going to advise that your day not be a weekend day. We're going to have to set weekends aside for family and family only. We are not going to allow school to take over to come in and run our weekends. Pick your day that you're going to plan your lessons and use that day to do it. You can plan by the week, you can plan by the unit, or you can plan by the thing. And sometimes that depends on what your school district wants. You also need to make sure that you can use templates and that you have some activities that you do all the time that you can slap in those slots and go. Stop making lesson planning so difficult for yourself. Batch those lesson plans, get as many done as you possibly can, and call it off. I said it before, I'm going to say it again. While you're doing those lesson plans, that is, you're blocking out time to do it, and you're doing the same activity, and you are going from one activity to the next that are similar. That goes into my next thing. Make sure that if you're going to manage your time effectively, that you're using time blocking. That is when you set aside a certain amount of time to get certain activities done. If you're doing all the manipulatives that you're going to be using for the week, if you're putting those in your lesson plans, then go ahead and do that then. Make sure you block that time. This helps create structure for you and balance. It helps to release some of that stress because it's like chaos. I can't function well in chaos, and neither do your students. So we want to make sure we're reducing the chaos, reducing the stress. Woo, taking those deep breaths, and that is helping to release some teacher burnout. Something that can help you with that time blocking with the lesson plan is using planners and those Google calendars. You can use things like Trello. You can use Notion. You use whatever you want to. I use a good old-fashioned calendar. I sure do. And I use a timer. You can use an actual timer like you use with the kids, like one of these. Or you can use your phone. That's my way of time blocking. The key things I had to learn in order to ensure that I was not burning myself out so much was I had to prioritize my activities. I had to figure out what was most important. What's most important, and do that first. I always refer back to Steve Covey, Habits of Highly Effective People, and I do think about that 4 quads that he have about what's important. When I look at that, I have to ask myself, what is most important? You have to be realistic. You can't do all of the things. You just simply cannot. So when it comes to that, I think about Steve Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and how you have those 4 quadrants. Well, one principle that those 4 quadrants is you have to figure out what's most important. As teachers, we have to figure out what must we get done, what needs to be done immediately, and what can we put off for later. Do what you need to do that's most important. Do that first, and everything else, allow those other few moments throughout your day to do them. Be realistic with yourself. You can only do so much in a day, and stop trying to overcomplicate things. Stop making this long to-do list and thinking you're going to get to it, because chances are good you're not. Once you stop overdoing things will go much better for you. Eliminate time wasters. I told you one of my biggest time wasters has always been talking to my friends. We got to stop wasting time and stop procrastinating and go ahead and do the things that we need to get done. We also need to delegate some jobs. Delegate. Your students can help do some stuff you're doing. As I said, help them become more responsible for their own education. Delegate some of those tasks that they can do, and learn how to collaborate with your co-workers. Learn how to work together. You know, if all the English teachers get together and come up with a lesson plan, let's do it. It's time, save you time, energy, and definitely save you some stress. Let's learn how to work together. Delegate, collaborate. We've already talked about the tackle the paperwork problem. One issue we need to do, stop grading everything. I had to come to the realization that I can't grade everything, and I still have to tell myself that now. My kids, if I let them, they'll force me to grade everything they turn in, because they feel like if I have to see it and do it, I want you to grade it. Some of it is not for grade. Some of it is so that I can see what you know. As I always say, put it in file 13, which is the trash can after they leave, or put it in their folder to show that you worked on that skill. But don't sit there and try to grade all of those papers. If you do, you're going to run yourself crazy, and that is one of the reasons that you will burn out. I can remember sitting there looking at those papers and be about to crack up because I have overburdened myself with looking at student work. You don't have to do that, nor am I going to encourage you to do it, so stop it. To prevent teacher burnout, get some rest. Yes, get some rest. Make time for you. You are a priority. Yes, you. You have to set aside time to take those walks. Get out of that classroom, get out of your house, get out of that car, get out of the places, and start taking walks. Get out in nature. Enjoy and appreciate this beautiful world that we live in. Take that walk. If it's just a few minutes, if you have to go to the gym and just walk around the gym 1 or 2 times and take some deep breaths, do that. Next thing, go to sleep. Go to sleep. Take that nap. Go to bed. Go to bed on time. I have told this story several times. I'm going to tell it again because it's true. I had a girlfriend. We worked together. I used to have to call her. I would call her. And baby, I promise you, when 5 o'clock hit or 4:30, whatever time it was, I think it's about 4:30, when she got out of work, I don't care if you were in the middle of the sentence, she hung the phone up. She was not taking any work calls after hours, after work. And that is called setting clear boundaries. We have to do the same thing. If we're going to be teacher burnout, we have to be like her. We have to cut people off. And I brought her because I was thinking about how we get ready to go to sleep. We're still trying to do schoolwork. We got to be like her. When you get to that point, when that clock says whatever time it is, for me, it is 7:35 because I go to bed at 8. And people laugh about that, but I have to get up real early. When that time comes, put whatever you're working on down, walk away from it, and realize it's time to go to bed. It's just time for you to take care of you. Cut it off. You also want to make sure you're eating right. Make sure you're deep breathing. And you would be amazed at how much eating a healthy meal can impact your lifestyle, how it's going to make you feel. I like to do meal prepping when I can. I'm not going to get on here and lie to you and say I meal prep all the time. I don't. But when I can, it helps me to get through my week so much better because I can do all of my breakfasts at one time. So when I get up in the mornings, I can just go in the refrigerator, grab my thing out, heat that up, eat it, and go. I can also fix my sandwiches like the little muffins with the eggs and stuff and cheese, and I can just throw that in the microwave, pull it out, eat it, and go. And it helps save me time. I do meal prep my kitty cat stuff. So that's going to sound crazy, but I have all my stuff laid out for my cat, that because I need to feed the cat before I leave for work. I need to take care of my other animals. I have all that already ready. I grab it, give it to them, and I can go. So we need to ensure that we're eating right. If we can do meal prepping, let's do some meal prepping. So that's like saying, I want to give up that one day or that one evening, get everything together so that I can be ready for the next day. So I don't have to be so stressed and so rushed and so pressured to get it done. Another thing that I love that will help with teacher burnout is journaling. I love to write in a journal. I love to meditate. I love to stop and think about and reflect upon my day. I do have a journal for teachers, a reflective journal. I will link it in the description below. Be sure you check it out. Get you one. But it will help to calm you down. Also, using gratitude journals will help you. Meditation, stopping, taking that time out to do what makes you happy. You also can listen to podcasts. You can listen to music that have nothing to do with school, but listen to some calming music, some music that can help you reflect upon your day, on who you are as a person. I listen to Extraordinarily Ordinarily. I may be calling that right, I probably am. But she is on Instagram and I follow her. And she talked about, she had a reel where she got in the car and she was putting on her makeup and she was fixing her face. And work was over. And somebody asked her, what are you doing? She says, I'm putting my makeup on. She said, I'm getting ready. I'm finna go home. They're like, you doing that to go home? She said, yeah, I'm going home. That's where Boo lives. That's where my Boo is. She said, Tyra, she's getting dressed. It was good because her husband was at home. And we need to have the same philosophy. We need to be We need to have a minute where we stop, get relaxed, and turn back into our other self, the self that is calm, the self that is ready, the self that is prepared to go home and meet our family, meet our other reality. My hat's off to her for doing it. I just think about her all the time when I look at that. So to help us decompress, we got to have a moment where we stop, take those deep breaths, put on our new self, become our new self, and go home. We don't want to take our teacher self home, because I have to catch myself sometimes. Our son will do something, and I'll be like, ooh, and that's a way. That's your teacher self trying to come out. You're not at school. You're at home. We have to make sure we're creating a distance between our work self and our home self, and that'll help us to stay focused. We have to cut it off at a point, or leave it at the front door, wherever you're going to leave it, but leave your teacher self there and do the things that help you to get into the home you. Be sure to set those clear boundaries, and your life will go so much better. Your school life, your home life. Set those boundaries. Say no. Stop lugging those papers home. Make a rule. Those papers can't come to my house. They have to stay at school. I'm guilty myself sometimes. I'm a work in progress. But we have to have clear set boundaries. So let's make sure we schedule some personal time, some time that we can be with just us, that we can relax and reflect and be our best self. We're going to celebrate our wins, not just the wins of our students, but the wins that we have. Find something to celebrate about yourself or about your day, and just thank yourself for having a good day. Thank God if you're a spiritual person. If not, thank the universe, thank whoever. But thank you. Relax and celebrate those small wins. If you need to take a mental health day, I don't mind taking a mental health day. I know a lot of people like to save their days. I don't. Whenever I feel exhausted, I take me a day and I lay in the bed and wear me some pajamas and I think about who I really am. You need to do the same thing too, because if you don't protect you or take care of you, how can you take care of someone else? I think about when you get on the airline, they tell you to make sure you put on, if something happens, you have to put on an air mask. Put your air mask on first. And then you put on the mask of your child. You don't put the child's on first, but you put yours on. That way you can function. You don't give out oxygen. Make sure you do the same thing. Put your air mask on first and then put on the child. You're going to do that to help you prevent teacher burnout. I thank you guys so much for listening. This has been LaWanda Shields 2Q Classroom, talking about the ways in which we can prevent teacher burnout. And I'll see you guys in the next video.